That's fascinating.
Yeah, that's a fascinating book. Definitely read that if you have not yet.
Now, all these books you're referencing, did they come out of like the Dead Sea Scrolls?
No, some of them part of the Nag Hammadi codices, some of them are part of the Apocrypha, some of them are part of the Pseudepigrapha. Some are just I use a lot of just the Old Testament and New Testament. Some are part of the Forbidden Books of Eden collection, the Protevangelium James, all the different books. I'd like to go back and study like even the Targums, which were different language translations, which were part of, Christ's time. Wherever I can, I like to go back to the oldest text that I can get hold of, and then, I compare them to what's available now, and a lot of times when you do that, you get a different story.
Definitely. What's your view? Because everything we've talked about, which I think we both are in very close agreement, which is just amazing, and I love Jesus Christ, and I think He's anointed our conversation here. But the argument would always be Genesis 4.1, and
right. And I wish Daniel would have asked me that. I wish he would have asked me that, because if you go back to the Palestinian Targum and the Aramaic Targum, which were part of the different language translations that were around during Christ's time, they are older than the Geneva Bible. They're older than the King James Version of the Bible. Well, the Genesis chapter 4:1 from those particular scriptures are completely different than the Genesis of the King James Version of the Bible. And they actually say, and I can send this to you as well, I'll send it to you later today, but they actually say that that Eve slept with Samuel, which is the angel of death, another name for Satan, that's where Cain was born from, that she had gotten a man from one of the angels of the Lord, not the Lord, but one of the angels of the Lord, who was the angel of death that had seduced her. And so Genesis 4:1 has a completely different meaning if you go back a little further.
Yeah, and I think you have those verses in your book too.
Yeah, I do.
The counter argument to that is the pure Bible theologians that will say, well, the King James and Geneva, it's interesting you mentioned that, because very few people know that the Geneva came before the King James, and it's considered even more accurate. But their argument will be, well, the Targums were street languages and not to be, they were perturbations of the original text, and our translations today went back to the original text and are much more accurate. That's what I've heard from when I bring up the argument of the Targums.
Yeah, well, whenever they do that, if they go there, all I do is bring out that one particular story from the Protevangelium of James, where it's a story of Joseph and Mary, and how Joseph comes and finds Mary already pregnant, and then he talks about in that story how this is the same thing that has happened to Adam, that happened to him, whereas Adam, the serpent, found Eve and then impregnated her, and in that story is also, like a first, second generation text. It's very, very old, and it confirms all the different things that I've been saying. And yeah. I've got hundreds of quotations from all different sources that verify the same teaching. And then I go into Yahushua's words in the New Testament, where he says that they are the father of the devil, that Cain is of the wicked one that slew his brother. I mean, there's, Yahushua in his own words confirms the same things that I've been telling people. Even Matthew chapter 13, the parable of the garden and the wheat and the tares, is the same thing.
And then I'd add to that the fact that Cain is not listed in the genealogy of Adam.
Exactly, right.
To me, Zen, it's one of those things where the evidence is overwhelming, but the brainwashing mind control of the system even with good people. I mean, I know some really good pastors. They're just wonderful people, but we're all caught up in this mind control system, and it's really hard to break out.
Absolutely, and I'll give you an example of that. I've been invited to speak at a Christian conference in Southern California, and Dr. Joy also. But she and I were going to present on this specific thing, Lucifer being the father of Cain. Well, there are other Christian, scholars or whatever you want to call the different individuals that were also going to present. But when they saw that Dr. Joy and I were supposed to present and that we were going to present on this, they got up in arms about it. And these are supposed to be, well-versed, well-researched, very spiritual, wise people. I'm sure you've heard of a lot of them. They all have their own radio shows and have written their own books. And yet they are so threatened by this piece of knowledge that they don't even want to be in the same room with me or Dr. Joy. They don't even want to be at the same conference for fear of association to all that.
Yeah, that's so sad because I know I love the Lord. I know you do. I know Dr. Joy does. And I have a feeling that this information is correct. And I'll add to it, it's not just this subject, but, earlier I mentioned my angel theory. When you bring up that, we might have been angels, they don't want to be in the same room with.
Right. There's so many things that I cover that, even like I talk about all the conspiracy stuff too, the New World Order, world government, the push for all that, the reptilians, all that. And a lot of people don't want to hear any of that either. And so I get ostracized at every angle, really.
Well, then you should have a big reward in heaven.
I'm sorry, say that again, Paul. I had to switch hands.
I was going to say, then you should have a large reward in heaven because it says, know this, that if they hate you, they hated me first.
Right. And that, I don't care what people think about me. I'm here serving the Lord in this second world age, the age of flesh. I don't live for the body. I don't live for the flesh. I live for the spirit. I live to serve the Lord. I'm a foot washer, a watchman unto humanity, and that's what I'm here to do. And what other people want to say about me or judge about me, that doesn't matter to me at all. What matters to me is what the Lord thinks about me.
Yeah,
and what I'm doing.
Well, I don't know how to get on your website too well. I figured it out a little bit, but I want to thank you so much, Zen, for what we've talked about today. And I want to offer, I know that you said you're quadriplegic, and that must be have its share of difficulties. I want to offer my assistance in any audio or video work or anything like that I can help you with.
Well, I so appreciate that, Paul. I really do. And I'll definitely take you up on that. And we'll work together in a lot of different ways, Lord willing. And, I'd love to bring you on the show and get you to share your own testimony about how you came to these things. Because, we're not as alone as we think. There's so many people. And like if you join our website, there's so many people that are coming to this discernment. I mean, from all over the world, and they've been looking for a home, for a place that they could share these things with, and when they find our website, they feel like they have come home, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just not very web savvy. I've been on your website and I have joined, but I get confused. But I'll continue to try to figure it out, and it's. I would like in an email, maybe you can send me a mailing address. I'm not going to ask on this talk here.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Because I'm going to send you this recording, and just and you can post it or do whatever you want with it. It belongs to you. And
same goes to you, Paul. You can use it in whatever capacity you would like. Because I appreciate doing it. I think it was a really awesome interview.